Dan Lloyd is about to race the Gravel World Championships, but instead of spending hours training on his bike and getting meticulously prepped and ready, well, it's just sat here in the box. Exactly how it was after he finished his last gravel race at Sea Otter Europe, which didn't exactly go to plan.
I will need Coke and water at the finish, please. I'm absolutely
So I'm going to do what any good friend and bike nerd would do, and I'm going to pimp out his bike so he's got all of the extra motivation and no excuses. This is kind of going to be like MTV's Pimp My Ride, but instead of American rap legend Exhibit, we've got me. Now I'll talk you through my plans for the bike shortly, because right now, first thing we need to do is get it out of the box and cleaned. Okay, with that out of the way, it's onto the best bit now, which is fitting all of the new parts onto Dan's bike. Now, Dan might not yet be Gravel World Champion, but that isn't going to stop me planning ahead in case we have a miracle come race day. And I mean, he's got a mega platform to start with because, well, he's got the same bike that Matthew van der Poel used when he rode to victory in the Elite race in last year's edition. Anyway, the parts in front of me, let's have a quick fire run through. So, we've got a white saddle, obviously, just in case Dan wins. We've got some white handlebar tape to go with our white saddle. We've got a rainbow chain. See what I did there? Yeah. I've also got some Uber Bling parts from CeramicSpeed. We've got their new Alpha bottom bracket and also got the OSPW Alpha. Now these have got a couple of unique features on them, and I'll talk you through those later on because these are one-off special editions just for Dan. Now these parts alone, whilst they are going to help Dan go just a little bit extra fast, it's all going to be down to his legs to do most of the talking. And I think Dan would probably be the first person to say that's potentially the weakest part in the system. Anyway, before I get on to fitting all these parts, the next thing I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to turn the wax pot heater on so it can get warm, because, you know, wax chain, obviously. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is fit this absolutely bling OSPW. Now inside here you've got hand-built hybrid ceramic bearings by CeramicSpeed. Now this has got some really cool technology going on in here. Now one of the cool things is called ADR, Active Debris Removal, and it's designed so that through the angles when it's rotating the pulley wheels, it's literally designed to shed dirt out of the way rather than getting into the delicate areas of the bearings. Possibly the coolest bit, because I said I've got some special designs here for Dan. The kind people at CeramicSpeed have laser etched in Dan Lloyd 2025 Gravel World Champion brackets ships, just so I've covered both bases there in case Dan happens to win or just finishes. First thing we need to do is actually get this one off. They're not sounding that great anyway. And to do that, we've got two security hex bits on the back, and should be pretty simple. So pulley wheel system fitted. Now the cool thing about this is that you can just continue to use the chain you already had on your bike, provided it was sized correctly in the first place. But as I mentioned, well, Dan's going to the World Champs, so he needs a rainbow chain. So this one is going to be a bit long, so I'm going to size it the same as the one coming off his bike, then we're going to wax it, then we're going to get on the bike. Let's do that next. Okay, so we've got the chain sized correctly to length based off of the old chain, which was obviously at the correct size because it used to be my bike. And I've got it fitted onto the little chain hanger here. So this pot is filled up with Silka's wax, but Silka have advised me that the best thing for the Gravel World Championships, because it's 180 kilometers long, is to use their normal wax blend plus one of the speed chips added in for that extra speed. It's not going to be much, but every little helps, especially when you're at the World Champs. So this has been warming up. We're at 75 degrees. and in we go. While that's cooking, let's get onto the bottom bracket. First job, remove the old one. Having done the hard part of removing the bottom bracket, now we can install what is quite possibly one of the most bling bottom brackets in existence. So this is the new Alpha BB from CeramicSpeed, and it's basically the lightest, most durable, robust bottom bracket that they currently make. And just like the oversized pulley wheel system I got laser etched for Dan, I've also got him some laser etching on his bottom bracket. Slightly harsh, I know, but it made me smile nonetheless. So just on the side here it says, "Is that all you've got?" Perhaps Dan's never even going to see this once it's fitted onto his bikes and the cranks cover it up, but it warms my heart up knowing that it's there. Well, of course he might watch this video as well, but who knows. Right, let's get the bottom bracket into the bike. After the bottom bracket, it was onto the contact points, the saddle and bar tape. This thing is going to be great. Clearly, white is better than black when it comes to saddles. You can argue with me in the comments section. And I'm going to do the saddle first before the bar tape because I hate doing bar tape. But before that, I've just remembered I should probably wash my hands, otherwise it'll be grubby to start with. BRB, see you in a second. Okay, after that brilliant unboxing, we've come to a first hurdle. The bike saddle rail mount is for round rails. This saddle has oval rails. The two don't go together, so I'm gonna have to go order the right saddle rail clamp to get the Boss White saddle on there. So delay that for now, bar tape next. Okay, handlebar tape done. Actually wasn't too bad, even though I absolutely hate fitting handlebar tape. And once the white saddle is on there with the white handlebar tape, let's just say it's going to be quite to the statement piece. And I'm really hoping that it's dry come race day, because otherwise both of them are going to get trashed. Having let the chain cool down, that was next to be fitted before running through the gears to make sure all was well. Okay then, here we are, just one day later, because I didn't need to wait for a new saddle rail clamp to arrive in the post, because I had a genius plan, and I simply stole it off Ollie's bike. Thanks, mate. Also, I've changed the tyre setup on this bike, because what Dan had previously wasn't exactly to his liking, and I've made some changes, which I think are really going to help him out when it comes to race day. So we'll talk through the tyre setup first, and then we'll have a quick summary of the bike. So up front, I've gone slightly wider on the tyre. So we've got a 45 Cinturato Gravel RC. Now the previous tyres, they had the X casing, was a little bit stiffer and is going to make life a little bit bumpier. So we've still got a tyre insert in the front, and I'm going to talk to Dan about getting his tyre pressures dropped down because that extra volume is going to allow him to do so. Now on the rear, we've still got a 40mm tyre, but it's the Gravel H tyre from Pirelli, which has got a far less aggressive tread pattern, which is going to really help minimise rolling resistance and, in theory, speed Dan up. So it's like grip at the front, extra comfort at the front, max speed at the back. Fingers crossed that all works out. And they look absolutely boss on these new Vision SC48 wheels, which have got a 25mm internal and give a really nice profile to the rest of the tyre. So, should we have a quick run through the bike? I think why not? Well, we've all seen this bike before. I've been using it throughout the year, and then I kindly donated it to Dan. I guess you could almost call it a hand-me-down. I mean, what a hand-me-down of a bike, eh? Set up with the latest SRAM Red Explorer. We've got a 42 tooth chainring up front, a 46 to 10 tooth cassette at the back. We've got this tricked out OSPW system and bottom bracket from CeramicSpeed. White handlebar tape and white saddle, I've got to say, looks absolutely off the charts in the sun on this bike. And hopefully on race day is going to give Dan that extra little bit of morale. Of course, he's have his Wahoo up at the front to peak bottle cages. Inside the frame, we've also got some spares stashed away. So this is the beauty of, well, the Canyon Grail and a number of different gravel bikes at the moment. Internal frame storage. So inside there, he's got a little mini carbon fiber pump, a little mini multi-tool. He's got an inner tube, CO2 canister, tyre lever, and the little adapter to go onto the valve. But because we've got fresh Silca sealant in the tyres and tyre inserts, it should be good to go. A couple of other little details for you. So in terms of brakes, well, I've left the brakes set up stock how it was. So 160 rotor on the front, 160 rotor on the back, and these beautifully machined SRAM Red calipers. I blew in love the look of those. In terms of the handlebar and bike setup, well, obviously it's how Dan normally has his bike position and setup dialed in, but I changed the handlebars on this bike a while back to be the pro spec version of Canyon's one-piece integrated cockpit, and it's actually blooming cool. We've got a width of 400 millimeters, a big old flare, and a drop that's actually relatively shallow, just 115 millimeters. One thing I would like to point out though, Dan, I think it's about time you invested in some new pedals. These ones look like they've had a bit of a hard time. Just to be fussy, mine are playing the bearings, but you know, can let it slide. Maybe if he wins the World Championships with some prize money, he might be able to afford some new ones. Okay, there we go. That is one bike tricked out, ready to rock and roll at the Gravel World Championships. Now, it goes without saying, if you want to see how Dan gets on, well, subscribe to GCN, because we'll have a video coming out very shortly to show you his best efforts. And also, if you want to see more cool bike tech related content, well, subscribe to GCNTech, because I'm going to be making a hot tech at the Gravel World Champs video. Right, we're out of here. See you later.